The Post.
Go.
Where do you want to start with this one?
I'll start.
I have a feeling it's
at a
going to go
loss.
lots of places.
No.
And the only reason it was because it was really too accurate. You know, it was such a like it was like it was the same feeling I had with Lincoln.
It was journalistic about journalism.
Well,
It lacked that Braveheart element.
It was the opposite of Churchill. It was like they didn't want to embellish. Like they made it kind of, and like to me, like it was like this is interesting, but it's like
Not.
It's too adult.
Well, this is kind of the same thing. It's like the story that they were telling is interesting, but I'm more interested in that leaker guy who is the one who literally was in the battlefield in Vietnam and brought all the things back.
It was too broad.
Like I was more interested in that guy's story than what I was watching.
Yeah.
And in this case, there wasn't a
yeah.
movie by Christopher Nolan about it.
No.
Yeah. Well, me and Ben, we went and saw Lincoln together, and it has the same beats. At the beginning, there's a little bit of an action scene.
Yeah,
and then it's all talking throughout the movie. And then at the very end, we gotta show that he got killed in the theater. Like that happened in Lincoln.
I wonder
In
what
this one-
happens next.
in this one, it's a little action with the Vietnam, all talking, and then. Oh, guess what? Did you know Watergate happened around that time? It was like,
It took me out. Like that. I
okay,
agree.
Steven.
Yeah, it was
We
bad,
get it.
but I was bad. Like that was bad direction, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because like we didn't need that because we know about Watergate. We know Nixon's a terrible person. We know all the different.
Are you
things.
sure? Are you sure we know? I think
I'm
Steven
not a
Spielberg
crook.
needed us to like be blatantly aware
That
that,
was his
Nixon.
that was his mother direction. No, but like that's why I appreciate Dunkirk. I actually appreciate the other one.
That piece of
Darkest
paper.
Hour?
Darkest Hour is they didn't. Like you wanted to show more Dunkirk and Darkest Hour, but they didn't. They kept it on that one thing. And Lincoln did that to the most part until the end. And this is the same thing. They almost like they went. They
kind of beat you over the head with it.
Yeah, and it was like let's just focus on this.
So
And it took me out. Like, and it was like suspense music. Like, what are they going to make a sequel? It's like
Watergate 2.
this is kind of in the mold of like Argo,
took
which
my line.
won Best Picture, which personally I think is
I
stunning
didn't see
that
Argo.
won. But it's kind of telling each beat of this story, and so maybe it's not necessarily suspenseful. They're trying to make it seem suspenseful in different
well,
ways.
here, one complaint I had about this movie was, God, a lot of people don't know how the Supreme Court works, and they just kind of gloss over that at the end. I don't know how.
So you wanted them to get even more minute detail.
But like, okay, how? Okay, in a lot of court drama movies, A Few Good Men, To Kill a Mockingbird, A Time
My
to
Cousin
Kill,
Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny. Yeah, thanks, Aaron. I want to see that. I want to see the testimonies. I want to see. I want to see more of that feeling of,
Or like the impassioned plea for
Absolutely.
like why this is so important.
Yeah.
The journal, like
show
why
us-
these people
show us
should.
more and show us the interaction between
First
judges
Amendment,
and stuff. Give us a little bit of doubt.
That's fair.
You know,
Yeah.
Show us the
But that was like a
deliberation.
montage at the end.
Yeah.
And it's like I think they spent too much time on the wrong things.
Okay.
To me.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Colin.
The only couple of points I would say, like some of the things that I really liked was it Spotlight was the one about the
Yes.
the church.
Yeah.
Okay, it had a very similar where there was a lot of talking and stuff in that one, but that had a lot of still shots. The thing I really loved about this movie is that Spielberg moved the camera a lot. One of my favorite scenes in it, which is weird that it's my favorite, is that they're in a room and some people are sitting down, some people are standing up, and the camera's moving constantly and doing all these takes, and some people sit down in the scene, some people stand up in the scene, and it makes it that much more dramatic. And that's what I loved about Spielberg is that what I told myself right there was, wow, Spielberg puts a lot of really talented people around him, like to be able to achieve that, like good camera guys, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's very much a Orson Welles kind of thing. He does like in acting they call it blocking, blocking the actors around, and like that's a lot of rehearsals, a lot of planning, and then unlike a stage, you have a camera moving around. Like, that's a lot of planning. That's a lot of effort.
A lot can go wrong.
And,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
one
go
thing
ahead.
that I thought was really funny is that I heard that Steven Spielberg didn't know that Bob Odenkirk and David Cross worked together in the past. And the
funny.
first time you see them, they're right next to each other.
That's amazing.
Like it's part of one of their skits, and I was like, that's great. I love that.
It's funny.
So, a couple good things. The thing I feel like the thing that made the movie for me was Meryl Streep's character, which I have just as much Meryl Streep fatigue, I think, as anybody, but maybe not as much as anybody. But
I don't know. You really brought the mood down. I'm looking at everybody. And
I get Ben looks
I'm
like he's
Meryl
going to attack me. You're streeped out.
I'm streeped out.
You're in the streep end.
She's not my Sophie's choice anymore.
I feel like her character actually made the movie for me, and I say that because this could have easily been
She did good in it.
just a Steven Spielberg, just 88-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle, typical Steven Spielberg movie, and that's what all of our complaints have been about, are the Steven Spielberg-y things. And it comes off, and a lot of this is the story is ultimately relatively forgettable, I guess.
Yeah.
But I felt like the thing that sticks with me is Streep's character, and that she's this. I feel like there are certain feminist elements that are tacked on, but what I really liked about her character is really just two scenes. Is at the very start when she's in the boardroom with all the other men, and she's so like tense and nervous
She
and can't get a
defers
word
to her
in
brother.
and defers and doesn't make any decisions. And then at the and it's a big prim and proper boardroom, and Bradley Whitford is talking her down. Then at the very end of the movie,
And then Bradley Whitford's wife comes in and hypnotizes her.
yeah, right. At the very end of the
Joe
movie,
Pesci comes
in
in.
Meryl Streep's house with her in her pajamas, they all come to her because they're about to make this like change the world a revelation about the Vietnam War, and she has to make the decision and make the call, and she does so with like tenacity and and is very articulate about their the reasoning and stuff, and like I don't know, just those two scenes to bookend the movie I felt like were really strong, and everything in between with her relationship with other like Tom Hanks and the McNamara character. I felt like that was the difference that could have been otherwise
good
a
arc.
very bland, like
Yeah.
I don't know, like I couldn't decide if in the age of Trump if this movie was hurt or helped by him. Ultimately I feel like it was hurt, that like okay, come on, a movie about like why journalism's important right now. I don't know.
I'm with you, but to me, the more interesting storyline that they glazed over is the Times perspective of it. The New York
Times side of it.
Like it feels like the Times are more important than the Post to me, because they're the one who did it, but the Post decided to do it after the Times.
Well, they were the ones that the Post is the one that had the ability to publish and also had more. I think. See, this is how forgettable the movie was.
Yeah.
It's so like granular.
But you know about Watergate, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Watergate, and here's a
remember
Nixon
that.
cutaway
Dun, dun,
on the
dun.
phone. Sorry, go ahead, Colin.
No. I wanted Ben to talk about his favorite scene, which
was
you
funny.
know what I'm talking about.
As soon as I got done the movie, I call him my favorite scene. He goes, and Colin said the favorite scene I called him about it was, man, that newspaper machine is so cool.
Yeah,
And there's some good shots with it when they're walking out. But like that thing is so cool.
wow.
It's
How
like
did
watching
they
Willy
do that?
That's
Wonka's
amazing.
Chocolate Factory.
The printing press.
Printing press is amazing. Like,
I want a movie about the
and
printing
it goes
press.
up like that, and it was like, yep, I'm a man. How it's made. Like,
Yay, machines.
yeah.
Well done, Matt.
That was my.
I was
favorite.
watching the clock the whole time.
That was my. Like, this is really cool.